Hello and welcome to the Global Poker League and our strategy segment where we ask our guest pro to take us through a key hand from the GPL. I'm joined by Jonathan Little of the Las Vegas Moneymakers. He's going to take us through a hand from the Eurasian Six Max, a hand between Thiago Nishijima of the Sao Paulo Metropolitans and Anton Wigg of the San Francisco Rush. Jonathan, take it away.
All right, so here, Thiago has been somewhat snug up to this point. We are early in the match, but at the same time, he hasn't really played many pots. And he has 5-4 suited in first position. This is a spot where a lot of players fold because 5-4 suited is not a big hand. But it's very important that you put some of these hands in your raising range. Not necessarily all of them, but all of the suited connectors, it's okay to raise them when you're deep stacked because you want to have what is referred to as good board coverage. You want to be able to have the nuts on every possible flop. And if your opponents know you only play perhaps pocket nines or better, ace, king, ace, queen, and ace, jack, and king, queen, but now if the board comes 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, they can eliminate certain hands from your range, I suppose.
They know that you just cannot have, the best hand you can have is an overpair. Yeah. So that puts you in a pretty nasty spot if the best hand you could possibly have is an overpair. So for that reason, you want to be playing some hands like this. Anton Wigg decides to call on the button with 8-7. Seems like a good play to me. And then he flops the nuts.
Pretty reasonable flop there for Anton Wigg.
Great flop for him. So Thiago is now going to make a continuation bet. This is a spot where he should often check if he's not raising with hands like 8-7 and 5-4 and 9-8. But given he has 5-4, he could just as easily have 8-7 or 7-6 or 9-8 or pocket kings. So betting's probably okay given that he does have a nice amount of board coverage. So he bets. And now Anton has to decide if he wants to raise. So in this spot, Anton wants to ask himself, how often do I want to be raising in this spot? And I don't really think he wants to be raising that often. Imagine he has a draw, like, 10-9 of clubs, for example. I think calling's probably just fine and seeing what develops. But maybe Anton is going to raise in this spot a lot. And this is where I'm not really sure of Anton's strategy. I want to make it clear. Anton is thought to be one of the best poker players in the world. He's not loud and he's not like a big character like a lot of the players, but he is very well respected in the poker world and thought to be one of the best. So I'm certainly not going to question his play here. But after a bit of thought, he just decides to raise. And I like the idea of raising in this spot. The problem is it's so hard for Thiago to have anything great. Like right here, really the best thing Thiago can have is an overpair.
Yeah.
Because notice, Thiago could have the 8-7, but he certainly doesn't have it this time because Anton has all the cards. So it's very, very hard for Anton to have anything. And the best thing he could have is pocket aces. Maybe I said that backwards. The best thing Thiago can have is pocket aces. Anton probably wants to get value from a hand like pocket aces before the board gets much worse. Because imagine if a club comes or a 9 or a 6. There are a lot of pretty scary cards for pocket aces. So I understand why Anton wants to raise. And when you are deep stacked like we are here, your main concern is how do I get all of the money in the pot in the manner that looks the least, or that looks the most bluffy.
So he's kind of looking to build a pot in the hope that Thiago, was raising under the gun with a premium pair.
Right, and that's usually going to be the case. The issue here, though, is that it's kind of hard for Thiago to have a great hand, and even then he may fold some of those by the river. If, say, he does call pocket aces and the turn is whatever, he maybe check calls the turn and then folds on the river anyway. So this is a tough spot where I'm not sure Anton can actually get the stacks in a large portion of the time. I think you're going to be better off calling and letting Thiago either catch up with a hand like ace-king or continue bluffing with a hand like 5-4 spades. Like imagine they put a jack of spades out on the turn or 2 of spades. Thiago's on the hook to bluff off at that point, and then Anton's going to win a huge pot. And also, Anton, when he calls, his hand is not going to look like a full house. It's going to look like pocket 9s or pocket 6s or jack 9, some hand like that. So given Anton had all of the cards, and it was nearly impossible for Thiago to have much of a strong hand, I think Anton probably should have called here. But again, whenever you're very deep stacked, there is a lot of value in building a pot so that if your opponent happens to have a good hand, you can stack them.
Yeah, and we see the nice laydown from Thiago Nishijima. There were quite a few cards on that could have come on the turn to really sort of get him into trouble, just given he had the gut shot and the backdoor flush draw. So got away from that pretty cheaply there.
Well, let's think about this. So here, he has a bad gut shot, which is not a good hand, and a backdoor flush draw, which is also not a very good hand, and no overcards. So it may look
board as well.
Also, so think about Anton's raising range. Again, if he's raising reasonably, it should be with 8s and good draws. So how does 5-4 fare versus 8s and good draws? Well, it's pretty bad. You lose to all of it. So I think Thiago just makes a good disciplined fold. Yeah. This is not a spot where Thiago wants to fight. Just because Anton should have way more 8s in his range, because he was the pre-flop caller, than the early position raiser. So even though Thiago could conceivably have the 8, Anton's going to have way more of them, so you just have to get out of the way. So good fold by Thiago, and he did not have the opportunity to bluff off his stack because Anton elected just to raise the flop. But raising the flop's probably fine.
Well, my thanks to Jonathan Little there for that superb analysis. Join us again next time on the Global Poker League. Au revoir. Connect with us on social media for league updates and download our app GPL TV to stay on top of everything GPL.